Sarah Shad Johnson is a wife, a mom, a East Cooper resident, and a member of the District 2 Constituent School Board. And now she's running for the Charleston County School Board to represent the residents of East Cooper. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Sarah one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores, or listen to this interview later on the free Quintin's Close-Ups iHeartRadio podcast. Sarah Shad Johnson.
Hey there.
It's so good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Likewise. I know that you've been watching my interviews for a while.
I have.
And now I'm interviewing you because you're actually running for one of the East Cooper seats on Charleston County School Board.
That's right.
Let me take you to something you recently said on Facebook. You said this quote, "We need to elect county school board members who have the knowledge, experience, and ability to lead. I have a proven track record of bringing about positive change for students." Tell me, Sarah, what knowledge, ability, and experience do you have to run for the East Cooper seat for Charleston County School Board?
Okay, well, I'll start with knowledge. I have an education group called Charleston Area Community Voice for Education that I started about 7 or 8 years ago with educators and parents. And we're a Parents Across America affiliate. So we have been sharing information, national news, state news, and local news about education,
Sure.
Educating ourselves, educating other people about what's going on in other places, what's worked, what hasn't worked. There's no need to try something here that's failed in Tennessee or New Orleans, some sort of reform method that we've already seen didn't work, even though it might sound good at first. There's no need, so I have the knowledge of, in education, what's gone on over the last since No Child Left Behind, basically.
Right.
What worked with that, what didn't work. So I have that knowledge, experience. I am the chair of the District 2 Constituent School Board. And I became chair within 5 months of being elected. So I am someone who can get things done. I have, vision. I can work with people, bring people together. So that's an ability, that's an experience. My education and work background is in finance and law, because I was a bankruptcy paralegal. So that's important too.
Oh, wow.
You need to understand law, policy. I've been on the League of Women Voters board for the last 3 years as legislative action director and then vice president of issues and action. So that's, again, looking at the law, looking at policy, applying it, using it. And that's the most important function, in my opinion, of the county school board, is setting that vision and through setting policy so then the superintendent of the school district can do what they can do and you can step back and not micromanage them, but at the same point, you're leading through setting policy and making good decisions.
And you also said this recently on Facebook, quote, "Under my leadership, the District 2 Constituent Board has ushered in the following positive changes in the last year." You talk about being the chairwoman of that board.
Right.
What has that been like for you?
Well, it was, it was when I joined, I ran for this county board position 4 years ago and I didn't win. I came in close, but I didn't win. I still wanted to be involved more than I was with my education group and with League of Women Voters, and also on their education committee.
Right.
So I, ran for that board, and when I joined, it was kind of an outdated, small little board that was doing a lot of important work, but meeting in a meeting place that wasn't very open to the public, and I felt like there was a need for more transparency, more efficiency, and so I've been able to bring that. And it's just a small 5-member board, but we really, once you get everyone on board and you give everyone a job to do, share responsibility, then you really become a team that works together. We don't have like that, like you see on the county board, that 5-4 divide that's been there since, the last, 20 years. It might be 6-3 now. Our board isn't like that. We work together. We don't agree on everything, but we're not divided. So it's been a very positive experience. And I've also learned a lot about not only what's going on in East Cooper schools, but other schools, because we get upwards of 350 student transfer requests into our schools from all over the county. So then I hear why people want to leave the schools in other parts of the county, and so we kind of have that education too. So it's been a great experience.
I got to play hardball with you.
Hardball is quoting me on Facebook and asking me about it.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's all good. What are the top 3 schools in East Cooper right now for you and your mind?
The top 3?
Yes,
You mean
ma'am.
that are doing well?
All of them, all top 3.
Top 3. Now I gotta say Wando High School, because
Okay.
my daughter is a senior there, so
Oh, yeah.
she'll walk this spring. And she's been there all 4 years, and we live right by there, and so I'm very involved. I know what's going on there, plus we do discipline cases, for my area, for my constituent board. So I've got to know a lot of the administrators over there too. So Wando is amazing, but because they have, because of what they offer. Now, there's students that go and take advantage of it, and unfortunately, there are some students that kind of in the middle that kind of get swept along. So that's one of my goals, is to make sure that we're, keeping everyone interested and going after all these wonderful opportunities at Wando. And just, their AP Academy, all the courses. I mean, their elective selection is like more than I had in college. So it's there. We do need to work more with making sure we're reaching all students, making sure we're keeping their interest and they're not, just kind of sliding along. I have to mention Lang Middle School, which is nationally won the STEM award for the best STEM program for middle schools. My board meets there at Lang, and so we're in there a lot. I know the principal. Amazing things. I think you should go toward. If you haven't been over to Lang,
Oh, yeah.
the kids are at tables working together. They're not just sitting there receiving information. They are learning how to learn, working together, and it's amazing. It's a model that's been so successful. I hope it's shared with other parts of Charleston County. Now let's see, number 3. I'm going to mention a charter school just because we have one, and we only have one charter school over there. It's East Cooper Montessori Charter. And so that, the district is involved as far as providing a building, and, they are governed by their own board. But it's something, because I do feel strongly, if we do have charters, and I support the charter schools that we have.
Okay.
I'm not one of the people that thinks charter schools are the solution to our problems in public school. My focus is always going to be on the neighborhood school, because I
Okay.
believe that's where everyone wants their neighborhood school to be a successful school and send their kids to school with neighborhood kids. But that charter school is, it's Montessori, and so they tried something different. I'm not sure if it's been about 15 years that they've been going, but they were a success. They've had the same principal the whole time. That's big. Sometimes charter schools you get a changeover with principals, but what it offered something different. It was something that I think the district saw as a success, and so then they used that as a model and duplicated it in every quadrant. So that's just an example of a charter school that's used the right way. As let's see how this works. This method became very popular. Lots of people applied. We were able to spread it throughout the school district. The same, Montessori is a different way of learning. So I think that's those would be the 3 that come to my mind when I think of really cool, neat stuff going on in the East Cooper area.
Overall, what are the total amount of students that are attending East Cooper schools in your mind?
How many are there? I know it's 28% of all Charleston County schools, because there are 8 constituent districts, and so some constituent districts have one school and just a little bit of business going on. But I know just from our numbers that since we educate 28%, I don't have the exact figure of how many students that comes to, and it's growing and growing and growing. As you know, my part of town is so many people are moving to town, but we are one of the largest constituent districts as far as how many students are over there. And just with a 5-member board. So we met, I think, 35 times last year. We're very busy, and there's a lot going on.
Let me get back to the dollars.
Dollars.
According to Paul Bowers of the Post-Courier, the price tag for Beckham High School has jumped from $81.8 million to $103.7 million before the first wall was built. How do we get from 81 to 107 in your mind?
I'm trying to figure that out, because that story shocked me too. And I did, in the same story, it talked about the budget jumped a little bit before, and I do know that was for good reason, because we expanded it. Because 1,200 was not going to be enough to accommodate high schoolers in Mount Pleasant, and some people are saying that 1,500 is not enough either, because the other thing my board does is rezoning, and so everyone that lives around Beckham, they all want to go there, and they're not all going to fit there. Now Wando is so overcrowded. We're at like around 4,100. So, so I know that that first jump, that was justified, okay? Because they said, okay, 1,200 is not gonna cut it, let's make it 1,500. Now, this recent one you're talking about, you know, I read that article and it said that it's, you know, they made the estimates back when they were planning this school, I don't know if that was in 2014, but and costs have gone up. So even though the price tag went up, we're not getting anything extra, but that's just what, you know, the bids went out, they came back, and I feel like, you know, the school district's hands must be tied because that's what it's gonna cost to build it. It is disappointing though that that price tag has gone so high.
And let's stay east of the Cooper, because Paul Ball was also reported this in the Post Courier early this week, that the new price tag for the planned East Cooper Regional Stadium next to Wando High School in Mount Pleasant is reportedly now $16.5 million. That's more than twice than the $8.1 million that the district budgeted for the project after the 2014 voter referendum that extended a local penny sales tax for a raft of new construction projects. When you talk to taxpayers and the voters of the East Cooper, what are they saying about this?
Well, mixed feelings, because I mean, I live right down the street from that regional stadium. I ride my bike by it almost every day. And so there's excitement about a new stadium and it being over by Wando instead of having to drive down to the old stadium, which was, you know, older. But the other half is the price tag and why. And that is something I think that could have been lower. And the reason, and what, from my understanding, what happened is when they were deciding where the stadium was going to go, and it wasn't, originally was not going on Wando's campus. It was going either across the street or somewhere else.
Okay.
That decision was delayed and delayed, so this is on the county board. It was delayed so long that by the time they made it, it was too late for bids to go out. And so there were not, you know, it's just a no bid build. That's money. So if the, you know, if the decision had been made sooner, then there could have been bids for the contract and we could have gotten a lower dollar amount.
A simplistic question.
Yeah.
Where is this money for all of this?
Well, it is there. I mean, because it was on the referendum,
okay.
And so it is, you know, sales tax money, and it's every time that the school district has gotten that that penny tax extended, they've made a plan, they've built it, and it always works out. I mean, it's never it has been successful. Now we'll have to see when we come to the end of the line of this one, because those dollars keep going up, but so far is that, you know, that they've done well in using the penny tax to build what they need to build.
And the Charleston County School Board, you also said this on Facebook, quote, "School boards are more effective and efficient when board members work together and have respect for each other." What is your definition of the Charleston County School Board right now?
Well, I mean, it's disappointing to go to a board meeting and see board members roll their eyes at each other or kind of be disrespectful. And I'm a middle child peacemaker. You know, more work can get done. You can be more efficient if you might not agree with everyone, but you need to listen. You need to come to board meetings, not with your mind made up, where you've already, you know, maybe talked to a few other people. You need to listen to everyone, and that's, you know, part of our policy, ethics policy, is you come to the table and listen, and you make your decision there. You don't, you know, all this teaming up together. I think it's just not very productive. Now, I think the school board's done lots of good things too, and I'll mention one of them. They, about 4 or 5 years ago when I ran the first time, I attended all their policy meetings, and it became very clear to me that nobody on the school board was making policy, that the school district was running the policy meetings and setting the agenda, and I thought that's really strange. And then I found out that, you know, just going through the policy, the school board is sitting on a mountain of policy that's just been built up over the years. Some of them contradict each other. And so the good thing that they're doing is now, in the last year or so, they have been going through policy and, you know, cleaning them up, revising them. And my constituent board actually has helped with that, with the student transfer policy.
Right.
So that's a very big step, and that's something I can contribute to, because I'm a policy wonk, and I have a lot of experience with policy, because, you know, you can't, how can our school district function if you just have this mess of policy that, you know, two different ones contradict each other? It needs to, a clear vision needs to be set.
Should the power go back into the hands of the school board, or should it stay with the superintendent in your mind?
Just in general, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you know, I think when the superintendent started and saw the mess of all the policy, she brought an idea of coherent governance.
Right.
Now that was a very wrong path to go down by our board, but for the county board, they did go down that path. They looked at it, they paid consultants a lot of money, and basically what they said is, here, it's a standardized set of policy that you will use. And fortunately, our county board members said, no, we're not doing that, and that's when they started. We're going to review. They sent the consultants home, and they're reviewing policy themselves. So now, so they didn't go with that, as far as I know, they didn't go with that coherent governance where it gives so much more authority to the superintendent. But I will say, I do think the school board should have more authority like they have before on hiring principals. And so what the superintendent used to, they do all the interview, pick
Right.
people, send 3 names to them.
Right.
And I think that worked. And even before that, constituent boards were actually the ones that had that decision-making power. That ended up being a mess. I don't know which way. I mean, if you had functioning constituent boards, they are the voice of the community. I do think it would be important, but then again, the superintendent needs to create her own team. So, I mean, I kind of understand that. The constituent boards still do serve on the interview committees for principals.
Right.
So that there's a part, so I mean, it has us a part there too. But no, I do, 2 years ago when we had about 24 principals moved in 1 year, that was very chaotic, very disruptive. It wasn't positive at all, and I've been told it's not going to happen again. But that is just an example of what happens, and it doesn't matter who the superintendent is, but if you give a superintendent too much with no oversight, I think it could cause problems.
You talk about consultants. The Low Country source reports that the school board candidate Jake Rambo revealed earlier this week that the Charleston County School District spent $65,000 for an image consultant. Low Country source recently learned that the Charleston County School Board has paid nearly $188,000 to consultant Beth Haven since August 2016. Haven floats, according to the Low Country source, to various departments to work on special tasks assigned by Superintendent Jarita Postaway. What type of image problem did the school board have that cost us this much?
And I don't know if it was school board or school district, because it, for the image consultant, because I'm not sure how that's being used. And I hear that, the communications department has an inflated staff, a lot of members working there. And, what I'm running on is teaching and learning happens in the classroom, in the schools. So schools are responsible for that. If, they have people that can promote what's happening in their schools. We don't need to focus so much on the 75 Calhoun. That's not where it's happening. I think 75, so the image, if you want to improve the image of the district, focus on the schools and let them, tell their own stories. It's when you focus on 75 Calhoun and this is it and all the money's there, all the jobs are there, it's very top heavy, that's how the school district is managed. I think we lose so much. I think the school district kind of needs to step back, do what they're supposed to, which is build buildings, make schools safe, support schools. And so I see sort of a reverse thing happening. Why pay consultants to beef up the image of 75 Calhoun or the school board or whoever they're doing? Let's focus on schools, support what they need.
Where are we with the state of safety and security when it comes to Charleston County schools in your mind?
Well, I'm happy to see that they took some safety measures, like Wando was built after they started installing vestibules.
Right.
So basically you can just walk right into Wando and there's, without getting checked. We're the biggest high school in the state. So that, to me, with this child there especially, was always a safety concern. So it's good. I think West Ashley High and Wando are getting this vestibule, which means you walk in, you check, there's 2 doors.
Right.
So that's huge. Now, increasing SROs, we already have school resource officers in all our middle and high schools. The elementary schools, it was spotty, like Town of Mount Pleasant put some in East Cooper or Mount Pleasant elementary schools. North Charleston did too. The problem with that is if there's an emergency in town, those officers leave. So I do think it was a good move for Charleston County Schools to put SROs in all of our elementary schools, because it's a deterrent. And when I go to Wando and either pick up or drop off my daughter, there's an SRO standing out there, his car's parked out there. It's also a good feeling because the SROs are they're not feared by the students, and if they are, they need to work on that, and it can serve for good relationships. Now, what I don't agree with is there's a pilot for $4,000 per door for bullet-resistant doors. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there.
Right.
That's a little extreme. To me, that's not a common sense solution. That doesn't address the root of a problem. If they really think they're worried about people coming in and shooting through doors, I don't think that's a good investment of taxpayer monies, $4,000 a door plus installment, when you could be working on maybe mental health professionals in the school with, things to help students, conflict resolution, things like that. So.
And if Dr. Jarita Postway, as superintendent, was sitting right next to you, what report card would you give to her as far as performance?
Well, for the last school year, I would, since people like to talk about letter grades, I would give her a B, and that would be up from a C from the year before. And the year before was when 24 principals were moved. The teacher evaluation system was changed in the middle of the school year. Actually, it was towards the end of the school year. Teachers marched on 75 Calhoun, which I've never seen ever. I mean, that was pretty unheard of. Teachers around here are usually pretty quiet because they don't want to get in trouble. It was a very rough year then. And, not last school year, but the school year before. The superintendent came out. She did a video. She apologized. She set things straight. She's done a lot of listening tours. The reason I don't give her A is because there's still problems from last year. The discipline problems, the progressive discipline plan, there are a lot of problems with that. Teacher morale is very, very low, enough where teachers are meeting, and I mean, they might march next spring. I mean, it's getting serious. So, but she's done, and she has given teachers a raise. So there's lots of positive, but I don't give free passes. That's why, I don't give A's unless it's just 100% everything's working perfectly. So I feel comfortable saying a B for now.
And how high will your voice go if you are elected to the Charleston County School Board? How high will your voice be on that board?
Well, people have asked me that. They're like, how can you do this all by yourself? And I'm like, I've got a good working relationship with a lot of the board members already, just through my position on the constituent board and in my group. And the school district calls me down, not as a constituent board chair, but also just as a community leader in my education group to talk about things, teacher evaluation. So I think I will be successful in talking to everyone on the board, even the candidates who are running now. I've already, started kind of talking with them.
Okay.
You never know who's gonna come out winning this year, but I can be pretty persuasive. Like I told you, 5 months and I became chair. It's kind of unheard of on a school board.
Sarah Shad Johnson, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Hey, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.